guys, it's Nikki from Love of Dirt. Welcome back to another video. I do apologise, there is some roadworks going on down the road, so there's a bit of noise, so hopefully the microphone doesn't pick it up too badly, but if you're wondering what that noise is, that's what it is. So today I want to bring you along with me to prep a bed ready for our next crop. So here in southeast Queensland, Australia, it is mid-August, and we are getting ready for our spring sowing. So I really need to get some corn in the ground. I find that it's better in spring. Also some beans and cucumbers, and this particular bed will be a super heavy feeder, so I've got a couple of issues with it. If you watched my peanut video, you would have seen me reference some tree roots into it. I have decided that I'm just going to leave it for this next crop, and then I'm going to dig it out, mainly because I sprained my ankle and it's a big job to pull all of the dirt out, and I am still waiting for my purple potted peas to finish up. So let's get started. So here is said bed. We've got our purple potted peas, which are finishing up, particularly on this side. We've got the pods are actually really starting to dry out, so I need to come through and harvest a lot of those. We save these for soup as opposed to eating. They're a bit starchy, so they're not, if you pick them really young, they're good for snow peas, but really they are a soup pea. So down here, this is what I've got left in here. So the peas are staying. That's the only thing that I'm really keen on keeping. I do have a few radishes here that I do want to keep, so just those two. I'm probably just going to give up on a lot of the other things, so except for my little pollination area here. See, look at him. So loving that yarrow, and I've got some snapdragons that my son planted. So I'm going to take out all of the lettuce, and what I'll do is I'll just chop them. I'm not going to pull them out. We do no dig method here, and the only digging I'm going to be doing is burying my bokashi. So as you can see, the soil is a little bit disturbed. I've buried, I think, 1, 2, 3 bokashis out here. We have these little bokashi bins here. So that usually we fill that up with food scraps, which is mostly cooked items. The worms get everything else, so it's like citrus, cooked items, things that the worms don't get, goes in the bokashi. A lot of food waste because my kids are disgusting and often have the plague, and I don't like sharing the plague, so I no longer try and reuse that food. I just put it in the bokashi, and it makes great fertilizer. So the garden out the front, it was empty for a while, and it was the main place that I was burying all my bokashi, and it is going nuts right now. So the tomatoes are just loving it. So I'm going to do the same here. I've already done a couple, basically wherever I have a spare space. If I haven't planted out and I've got a bokashi bin full, I will dig a hole and bury it in. We were putting it into our regular compost bin, but COVID happened, and then my ankle got sprained, and now it's a big clump, and I wasn't turning it regularly, so it's a bit harder to manage in that respect. If you're turning it like every 3 days, it's going to be fine, but because I wasn't doing that, it's just turned into a big clump in there, so I need to sort that out once my ankle is a bit better. So anyway, moving forward to this bed, I'm going to bury bokashi. I'm going to chop all of these lettuce. I'm going to give them to the chickens. We've got so much lettuce at the moment. This is going to seed, so it will be quite bitter for us. So I'll give it to the chickens. I would normally, if I have a bit more time, I would normally just drop it and then do my layer over the top, but I don't have the time at the moment, so it is just going to be chopped down. So anyway, I'm going to go through and do that, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so this bokashi's been fermenting now for about 2 weeks, or maybe a bit longer, probably 2.5 weeks. So that's kind of what it looks like. It's pretty gross. It's not broken down. It's just kind of fermenting, so it does need to be buried. And I like to sort of bury it about 20 centimeters down. below. So we're actually going to be topping it up an extra 3 centimeters, so it doesn't need to go, whoops, there it goes, doesn't need to be as deep, but that's the general deal. Try and bury it below 20 centimeters. That way, if you've got dogs or other animals that like to dig up stinky things, hopefully they won't find it. We have a beagle who loves digging up stinky things. She's too old now to jump up into these beds, but previously she would have, and she would have dug them up, and then she would have got very violently ill, because we have meat scraps and fat and all sorts of things that we put in here that we wouldn't normally put into our compost bin. So make sure if you do have an animal like that and you're using bokashi, don't put it somewhere where they can get access to it. And it's really hard not to drip juices around, so if there are a hound or a dog that just seeks out stinky things, you might need to find a place where they're not going to get access to it. So I did just rescue these spring onions. They're really easy to retransplant, so I'm not sacrificing these at all. I'm going to replant them, whether or not I put them back in here or just stick them in the aquaponics or another part of the garden for them to grow. They're so resilient, they handle this. So here's my hole for my bokashi. You can see what I was talking about with the tree roots. They're coming through. They're all through here. They just suck the life out of this bed, so it does need fixing. But like I said, I just don't have the energy to pull all of this dirt out at the moment. So, and I really do want to get my corn in the ground. This bed here, if you go back through my videos, this was one of the ones that we've done with the lasagna method, and look how good this is now. I wish you could smell it. It just smells so good, this soil. Yeah, so how to fill a raised bed, head back through and see what we did to make this amazing amazing bed. It's just so good, this one. We've got a few problem beds, but this one is really good. It just gets the life sucked out of it from those tree roots. You can see it is not fully broken down, but it's well on its way. Usually after about 2 weeks of putting in the ground, if I dig a hole I won't find it. The worms just get to town on it. And in here, like, we put things that we don't put in our regular compost, like meat scraps and bread and everything. And yeah, you can see in here, because I'm feeding my worms a lot at the moment, there's lots of citrus and onion peels in here as well. Okay, I've just cleared all that. I've buried my bokashi. So these are the plants that are going to stay in here. You don't have to fully clear out a bed. You don't have to dig it over. In fact, that's gonna kill worms. Like, even just digging that little hole to bury my bokashi, I've made these guys upset. Look, I've cut him in half. So yeah, the less digging I find is the better, and it's easier. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to top it up. So I do no dig, like I've said a million times, and what we do to restore our beds is we do a 3 centimeter layer of compost, and that is usually a two parts compost or mushroom compost if we're not producing it ourselves, and 1 part manure. And my go-to choice for manure is cow manure, and I get the premium stuff. I don't get the blended stuff. I just feel like it does a better job. So I'm going to go through and add that to the top of this, and yeah, then I'll show you what I add next. So for this 2 by 1 meter bed, it's around about 75 litres. This is purchased just from a local garden centre, and I've just got 2 parts mushroom compost and 1 part cow manure, and I've just mixed that all together. Yeah, so that's kind of what it looks like when I put it on. Obviously your own compost is going to be better, but like I said, I got slack on the composting when we got COVID, and then we had a sprained ankle, and it's just not ready yet. So buying it in is fine, but I find that instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, some's really terrible, some compost is really, really terrible. Buy a couple of different brands and then you sort of get that diversity depending on what it is. But yeah, my go-to is a mushroom compost and a premium cow manure. Couldn't help herself. Okay, now for the secret ingredient. So this is my goodie mix. If you're a dirt lover, you can get my exact recipe. But basically in here I just have a lot of trace elements, minerals, and an extra sort of fertilizer in just to give the garden a bit of a boost. I've got some worm castings as well. There's some rock minerals. There's some blood and bone, a few other little bits and pieces. So I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to sort of dig it in. So finally I'm just going to add some sugarcane mulch. This sugarcane mulch is actually quite broken down and actually looks a bit more like dirt rather than the mulch that you get at the shops. But that's the final result. I will give it a bit of a water in with some seaweed solution and fish hydrolysate just to get things kicking along in here. So then I will plant probably next weekend, maybe next week. I'll plant this out. And then we'll get going from there. So just a note about my goodie mix, because I know that I don't normally put that much stuff in, but because I know the corn's going in here, I know the cucumbers are going in here, they're quite heavy feeders, they need a lot of nutrients, and I've got those tree roots in here. I did put a bit more blood and bone and slow release fertilizer, organic fertilizer. We use a brand that is actually local to us. It's Queensland Organics. That one's a really good one if you can get your hands on it. It's not at Bunnings. It kind of looks like Dynamic Lifter, but it's got other really cool things in it. But yeah, normally you can find them at produce stores, and that's the one that we use. But yeah, there she is, ready to roll. Hopefully we'll have some good corn this year and it won't rain just as they're flowering like it did last year. We'll see how we go. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video on fixing our beds. I'm going to let it sit now for a couple of weeks, maybe a week and a half, and then I'll plant it out with my corn and cucumbers and things like that. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.